It's the Powerhouse Woman Show. You're a powerhouse woman, successful, accomplished, but you know the time has come for something else. To pivot, make a shift, or do what you've been putting off for a long time. I'm Monica Pierre, a media entrepreneur, Emmy Award-winning journalist and coach, and I'm on a mission to help you figure out your path forward and create powerful new stories about your life and legacy. There's more ahead. Time to do the greatest work of your life. Absolutely. It's time to do the greatest work of your life. You've accomplished a lot, but guess what? You're still living and there's more to do. And we want to help you with that and inspire you and bring on great guests that will help share wisdom and encouragement as well. Well, do you find yourself nowadays really kind of drifting off and dreaming and wishing and hoping and saying, one of these, I'm going to do this, but you want something that's powerful and the time has come to create it? That's what we're going to talk about today on the show. We're so excited. We're joined by Moncherie Holmes Jones, and she is a powerhouse, if ever there was one. Founder of Mojo Marketing and PR, and she joins us from Nashville, Tennessee. But all of the audience people listening from New Orleans, yes, she is a New Orleans homegirl. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us and being on the Powerhouse Woman Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so giddy about this.
Well, okay, I'll give you a few seconds to say why you're getting. That'll be okay.
Okay. This is a dream come true, y'all. We all know, everybody who's listening, especially from home in New Orleans, Monica Pierre is our idol. That voice that we know, the calm, the storm, the positive when everybody was laughing, she was giving us the real. And so it's just growing up. This is one of the reasons I've become in the media industry as a whole, because I learned, there's Black people and Black women on the radio through Monica. I mean, I'm pretty sure they were all over the world by that point, but I learned it from Monica Pierre. So it's a big dream.
Moncherie, that is an amazing thing to say. It makes my heart smile. I never take it for granted. And again, when powerhouse women, when we're doing our thing, we never stop to say, well, which little girl is listening to me and wants to be just like me when she grows up? We're just doing our thing. And we find out later that it has had an impact on us. Yes, you're founder of Mojo Marketing PR. First of all, I'm going to start with the name. How did you get the idea to call it Mojo? And what is the Mojo?
Yeah, so it was, someone asked you when you're coming up with the elevator speech or what you're working on, what's your niche? What's your sweet spot? And I was like, well, when people work with me, they get the energy, they get leveled up, they get, it's next level work, right? And so I felt like, I was like, well, what would do that? What will give you energy? I was like my own concoction of energy. And I put a little New Orleans on it and said, it's Mojo. But then later realized my initials were actual Mojo. So a lot of people think, it's because of her initials. I was like, it's actually because I was looking for something that was like a New Orleans concoction, and that birthed Mojo.
Right. So many great names. And I know people love names and they spend a lot of money trying to figure out the perfect name. Yeah. And hire people like you. But even your name, Moncherie, is there an interesting backstory with that? Or it's just, okay, we'll just go through all the pretty names and pick one?
Well, you know what? I think my mom said she heard Stevie Wonder singing My Cherie Amour. And she found that she was like, I want her to be named Moncherie. And the spelling is unique. It's the masculine spelling, but it's, New Orleans style French names. A lot of girls in New Orleans have French names. I got to Xavier University in college, and there was a girl whose name was spelled exactly like mine. And she was 4 years older than me. And I was devastated.
You thought you were the only one, right?
I thought I was the only one. But actually, we're good people. She's a doctor in New Orleans as we speak now. And I was like, God darn it. I just thought I lived this life by myself. But Mama did a great job.
You did a fabulous job. Speaking of a dream, you talked about growing up in New Orleans, hearing me on the radio, being inspired, but I'm sure so many wonderful women in your communities. There was an article on you in 2019, and it was in the Tennessee Tribune, and it talked about Moncherie's dream, basically coming through and coming reality. You always saw yourself in your own building. It happens. But then I want to fast forward less than a year later when the pandemic hit. What were your thoughts about your dream and the big thing and the bigness of it? And then this pause happens, this uncertainty happens. What was going through your mind?
Well, you know what? Yeah, you're right. It was a dream. Being one of the first Black-owned advertising agencies in Nashville, Tennessee, full service. I was proud of that. It had been what I dreamed about in a cubicle in Detroit, in New Orleans, all the spaces. I wanted to be like the people I worked for. Um, then fast forward, and I was like, oh, okay. I welcome the pause a little because I love to be able to devise a bigger plan. I'm never afraid of change. That's kind of one of the things that you have to have when you're if you're somebody who amplifies, because you need to be able to move with the punches. But when the COVID and the pandemic got it settled a little bit, I was like, okay, we're gonna do this for how long? Like tapping my fingers, like figure it out. So there was some nervousness that came, and I remember it got tough. It got tough because we had Essence Festival where we do big events every year for clients or bring clients to that market. That was a tradition in our business that was wiped out. We had also landed the Junior Olympics, wiped out. Then everything was getting wiped out. So it was kind of like, okay. And as the clients were pivoting, I remember not wanting to pivot. I was like, no, I've never wanted to do anything else. I've always done marketing, advertising, and PR. I've been blessed to learn just every form of it as possible in the last 18 years of my career. And so I didn't see myself pivoting to what was a trend niche and the next couple of weeks, because I knew that we were going to find some way to settle. And I knew that marketing doesn't change. You know what I mean? It just evolves. And so I didn't want to hop on virtual events and go crazy. But with all that being said, what happened, I mentioned that one of my knowledge points that really helped me to understand what my business model would be was understanding that I needed a client that was like Nelson Mandela, somebody who was a game changer. And all those type of clients, as I've opened myself up to the world to say, this is what I wanted, those type of clients came in. People who were changing the world to help people better. We worked on a CARES Act campaign that came through in June or July. And it was a huge research project for Black and Brown communities, or Black and Latino communities. And that was important because we were doing the work that was going to help people survive this pandemic. And then we worked on other projects. This just were helping people from restaurants that really needed to stay alive because they were Black owned, and just helping them to operate with curbside. And then the opportunities just kept coming from there. And it was really
Yeah.
good.
I'm so fascinated because I had a conversation with one woman who's a stellar person in the community, New Orleans, and a great business woman and all events. And she goes, I don't want to do anything other than events. And I didn't know what to say to her at that point because it was new, the pain was fresh for so many of us. What's your advice when it comes to being clear? I don't want to pivot, but there's certain realities as well.
Right. I think in that you find out, I don't want to pivot. I don't want to start running and rebrand myself. But what is it that I do in my processes? Because it's never about you're buying into, the same thing. It's all about how you do something. What is it that I can do in the same way but for a different industry that may not call it events? Right? They may call it something else, so that you can figure out if that's not so much a new vertical, but a safe vertical, maybe for a period of time. A relationship. The education industry is in turmoil right now. Event planners would probably never think, why would I do events for schools? What is the point? Teachers need communal places to piggyback early on what's the better decision. Companies were being hired to host virtual webinars to say, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how we're going to do this process. This is a rollout. And so there was opportunity to kind of invest in maybe pivoting her events to virtual, or pivoting her one technique that she does well, if that was like delivering positive experiences or unique experiences to that curbside world.
Yeah.
Helping restaurants become host social distance events, all of those type of things. She could have pivoted to a little bit more as far as her verticals, but still stayed in events.
Right.
So I'm always looking for like different verticals if I don't want to move from a space.
Got you. Got you.
Mhm.
You're so big about creating what you want to see in the world. How do you do that? Because again, we're just one little person living in the country, one little person living in New Orleans, one little person living in South America or in Germany. How do you begin to create what you want to see in the world?
Well, you grow up in a place that embraces your creativity. Um, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm trying not to tear up, girl. I was gonna do good without doing that. Like being able, and there was no student who grew up in New Orleans who, because we didn't all catch the bus, that did not ride to school and did not listen to a morning show in New Orleans called CJ Morgan. And so it is being able to have those type of environments. Like if you were not on the radio, let's call a spade, I would not be in this position right now. Let's just go ahead and give that there. I did
Right.
not have the idea of a radio or being a personality or being a news anchor, which brought me to PR and brought me to be a gopher at Channel 4 at 15 because my mama called up there and said, "Can my baby work there for 3 or 4 days?" You know what I mean? And then, I mean, let me give my parents the credit. I was blessed. My I would have these imaginations and these ideas, and she'll say, "Okay." And then next thing you know, "Oh, you can work up there at Channel 4 for the summer for a couple weeks." And then Sally Ann, fast forward some years later, becomes one of my first PR clients. So I think having a community, I was born into a city that the creativity that the world loves actually was feeding it at the time. I think for this 80s babies, shout out to New Orleans 80s babies, that was feeding us with all of that creativity so that we could be excellent. I mean, we have historical people making history all the time being that come from New Orleans. Nashville alone has probably 20 women I can name who are from New Orleans that's helping to run this city.
Wow. I
There
did not
are,
know that.
there's a strong Nashville, New Orleans connection, but we have a group of us that are like leaders in the community here, but also have already changed the game before I even got here.
Mm.
From people in politics to restaurants to national nonprofits and more. But I think it's about the cultivation of your circle, and you could be, and even if you didn't have that education and that lifestyle growing up, I found even when I had to redefine who I was and when I got lost in my career mindset or in my, as I went from 20s to 30s, whatever, if you be still long enough with yourself, and I was one of those kids who was with myself a lot. So I can dream. I dreamed a little bit more. If you be still enough with yourself, you'll find out what you would need to be doing. But it's when you're all over the place and you're trying to grab just about anything and every new shiny thing. And sometimes we think because I went to this webinar, I'm somebody. No, you need to, sometimes you don't need to soak nothing up. You need to just be still and let the vision come to you. You see
Wow.
the difference? And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of that. It's not kind of, it's the reason. I daydreamed a lot. I daydreamed a lot as a little teenager. And everything I spoke out, I just so happened somebody had parents that cultivated it. And then that cultivation brought me to people like you and brought me to Sally and then brought me to Xavier. And then Xavier did more cultivation. And then from
Mm.
there, that dreaming just kept happening. And so when you show somebody, when you show a child that she can constantly dream and that actually can come to fruition, then she's never going to stop dreaming.
That's powerful. One of the things you say, and I'd like you to explain it, is cheer me on when I dream. What
Yeah.
does that mean?
I always reference, like in this industry for my craft, I see a lot of PR folks on the carpet, and I'm not mad at it because even if you're not in the entertainment industry, there's carpets for business events. And what I say is that if you're taking a picture and the selfie before the client and you haven't done the work to make sure the media on the carpet has interviewed every one of your clients, you're doing this for your vanity and you want to be the client. The problem with our craft and that we need to do when we want to escalate or amplify somebody, we got to realize that you shouldn't be hiring no one, both a PR person, brand person, marketing person, anything like that, to amplify your brand or be a part of your team if they can't cheer you on at the dream. Don't cheer me on at the win and take me to the win. I need you at the dream. So I don't sign clients and I don't really partner with people who I don't believe in their dream. That doesn't mean their dream's bad, but I need to be able to believe in it because I take it on as it's mine. You're paying me to amplify something that I have to believe in. Like that is the hardest thing in the world, to amplify something you don't believe in.
Right.
And then the end result is either you're feeling like you're not getting the response that you need from the people around you because you got the wrong people cheering for you. They should have been at the dream. So if you can't open your mouth and say the dream, people tell you don't tell everybody your dreams. Don't tell people everything. Can't give everybody else your goals and your plans, but you got to be able to give it to somebody. And those people you do give it to need to be able to cheer you on at that point. And then that'll tell you who you don't need in your circle, life or business.
Right. I used to say if they weren't with you or thought about you when you were on the bus, A
Right.
limousine is not going to make a difference to them, you know.
Yes.
They're not going to really stick around because once the limousine rides over, they're gone too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, we come to the time, Moncherie, where we do our Powerhouse Roundup, where we ask three quick questions. It's just a lightning round. I'd like you to complete this sentence. A powerhouse woman is.
A powerhouse woman is a community leader who believes in cultivating legacy.
Wow.
Cultivating legacy that may be in her own life, in the life of a community, or in the life of just the people she meets.
That is deep. That is why you're also a thought leader. We didn't really mention that. You are a thought leader, forward thinking. The best advice you've ever received, and if you could share with us who gave it to you and how you tend to use it in your life.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna mess up her last name. My first agency I worked for, Logan Marketing and PR. So you see where I get the marketing and PR. Downtown New Orleans. They had Six Flags, Jazz Fest, Ogden Museum of Southern Art. They were doing it all. One of the ladies that worked there, she was a powerhouse account director, and she taught me two things. But one of the things she walked up to, I was always on time. You know, I got to be on time. I was actually one of their first Black hires, so I knew that was important to put up, and I was still interning at the time. And I showed up, and I'd be sitting in my seat on time and doing my work. And she walked past me one day and she said, you know, 80% of life is showing up, Moncherie. Other 20%, that's just, you know, doing the work. So you here every day, it's really a good and on time, like I see you doing. And I didn't know she noticed, nor did I care. I just wanted to make sure I was on time. It really showed me that a lot of times when you're fearing yourself, fearing the issues, doubting, just show up. Just show up. And because it doesn't hurt to ask somebody the question that you don't know the answer to. You scared to show up to something because you don't think you're prepared. Just show up, figure it out when you get there. Now, I don't constantly be unprepared, but not showing up. I remember the times I didn't show up, I lost a lot of opportunities. So keeping that in mind, showing up, 80% of life is showing up.
That is great advice. And you just have so many wisdom gems. But what is your advice to other powerhouse women, especially those who may be struggling a little bit at this point?
I think right now, I think when you know that you have something in you, like a vision or something that you're not acting on, you gotta take time. I do believe in being still. That helps me because I get clouded sometimes and it's like, oh, I need a couple days. Like I need to let's focus for a minute. So I think be still for a minute and get certain about it, meaning confident about it, because you already know what it is you're supposed to be doing. And it may have nothing to do with a career. It may be how you treat yourself. It may be how you articulate yourself, meaning how you let people see you and how you share yourself to the world. It may be about something personal going on, but at the end of the day, you know the answer. The question is, are you strong enough to actually act on it? And so when I have those times where I need to, I do take breaks, and that's the stillness that I do. And I'll take a week and come back hard for 6 weeks. Or I'll take 2 days and come back hard for 4 days and then take another 2 days. But at the end of the day, do what you need to do to be still so that you can recharge and actually execute fully on the visions that you're getting in your head.
That is powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. You are indeed a powerhouse woman. How can people learn more about Mojo marketing and PR and your brand expertise and all the things that you put into the world? And we're going to have you back again because these topics have been awesome. And thank you for all that you shared about me. And the moment I saw you at an event, I'm going, oh my God, I kept your number and I kept your name. And here we are.
Oh my God, I was so happy to see you. Well, yeah, find me we're powered by Mojo on all the social medias. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't really do Twitter, y'all, but LinkedIn, you can find me, Moncherie Holmes Jones. I love meeting people in New Orleans, especially all over the world, but then definitely at home. So love to connect, but powered by Mojo, POWERED by Mojo.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for being with us. You have
Thank
been
you, Monica.
just a gift, just a gift. And I want to thank all of you who've joined us today and to let you know that it's all about sharing our wisdom. And to learn more about the show, go to thepowerhousewomanshow.com and my new program that I'm working on called the Powerhouse Intensive, where you can get your mojo going too and dream and put some action on that dream as well. Until next time, I'm Monica Pierre.